in episode 135.
I came down in full regatta.
That's always fun.
Yeah. And she was like, it's not Halloween. What's going on? And I just told her, and I said, yeah, this is me. I do this from time to time. Then like one of the guys just looked at me walking by and was just like, oh, look at this girl. And the other guy wasn't like shouting it or anything. He's kind of like, I heard him kind of like whispering it almost to the guy. He's like, that's a dude. That's a guy. And I was just like, oh no. I've been hit on once, but only ever once. And it was,
do tell.
I was with my girlfriend at the, like she was with me.
Welcome to the CrossYaas Podcast, the podcast that still says yas to everything related to cross-dressing, sexuality, and gender. It is I, Giselle Mirasol, seasoned cross-dresser, transgender umbrella faller underwear, and it is I who will be your host and guide into this crazy, sexy, cool world of cross-dressing, sexuality, and gender. Help this podcast thrive by going to our website, CrossYaas Podcast.com, and click on our Patreon links and chip in a couple bucks so you can enjoy some of the bonus extra content we have there, from digital art, extra episodes, and music from my wifey, Kirsten. You can also chat with me, Nicole, and other wonderful CrossYaas listeners on our CrossYaas confidential Discord, which the link is also available on our website for even more support. And finally, if you enjoyed Nicole B's story and have your own personal story that's cross-dressing, sexuality, and or gender related, but you're like, now wait a minute, Giselle, you're telling me that someone wants to hear my story? Are you serious? Well, duh. You know me and you know how serious I am about this podcast. The answer is obviously a loud, frickin' yes! Someone does want to hear your story, and yes, I'm serious. You can tell me your story by hitting me up, Giselle, at CrossYaasPodcast.com, DMing me on Instagram at CrossYaas Podcast, or chatting me up on Discord, Rochi_Mochi #7325. I cannot wait to share your story with the CrossYaas listener. I'm back, everyone, with yet another curious conversation, and this time I will be sharing Nicole B's story. Nicole B reached out to me via email, Giselle at CrossYaasPodcast.com, and told me how much she loves the podcast and relates to a lot of previous guests who's been on here before. Nicole identifies as a crossdresser and told me that she hasn't found a lot of podcasts like this one. She's not too into pronouns, but she is into her craft. This is pretty evident as her Instagram handle, which is again under the username X1XNicoleX1X. That's X1XNicoleX1X. And that's where I saw that she had over 27,000 Instagram followers, and I was like, wait, you're like Instagram famous and you reached out to me?
Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be fucking kidding me.
That's insane. But I'm super thrilled to share her story because she's got her own unique take on cross-dressing. She's a makeup artist from Ireland. She's my age, 33. And it was kind of cool to see some of those similarities we both share, even if she's like tens of thousands of miles away. She's also got a lot of passing privilege, which I don't think I personally have, but she definitely has. And we go over that in our talk here in part 1. And I found an appreciation for just how down to earth she was regarding that, and a whole lot more about who she is. But I'll stop lingering on because I tend to do that and just bring to you, the CrossYaas listener, the first part of my curious conversation with Nicole B. Enjoy, everyone. Well, welcome to the CrossYaas Podcast, Nicole. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, thank you. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. We finally got you on here with all that technical difficulty crap, so yay!
Good stuff.
Well, how about you start off by telling us who you are, Nicole, and what brings you to the podcast?
So, I'm Nicole. I'm a crossdresser from Ireland. And yeah, came across your podcast, like I said, about a month and a half ago. Just like started binging it on my commute to work. Just got addicted to it then. And yeah, I thought I'd reach out. I think what you're doing is really important for the community because there's literally like no outlets for cross-dressers. It's all mostly the transgender umbrella, but nothing specifically for our group. So I think I think this is a really good outlet for people like us.
Yes, yes. Well, who are you, Nicole, and how do you identify? What your terms are? Pronouns and whatnot.
So I suppose this is kind of an open-ended kind of question for a lot of us, but most people have their, I suppose he, she, they, them, and some of them are pretty serious about how they are viewed or I suppose come across. But like for me, I just kind of identify as myself. I don't like pronouns aren't super important to me, I suppose. It's nice to be called she when I'm presenting as female, but like I don't kind of mind if I'm not either, that kind of way. I kind of like to go unnoticed, if you know what I mean. I kind of like to just blend in. So if nobody's calling me anything, it's probably just probably means I'm doing an okay job of blending in.
Yes. Well, you want to tell us a little bit about your origin story? Because we all love origin stories here on the podcast, Nicole. How did yours start?
Yeah, sure. So I suppose like it's kind of like a typical origin story in some ways, and then in other ways it's kind of different. But when I was really young, like I suppose like 7 or 8, I was like I knew I was kind of like different, I guess you could say. I kind of liked the girls at school, but like I was more interested in like what they were wearing and stuff. So I wasn't like really super interested in sports or anything. I had lots of guy friends and stuff, but I was kind of I had more female friends. I always had more female friends than guy friends. And that kind of spurred my curiosity into the whole cross-dressing side of things. But like growing up as a kid, like, I'm 33, so back in the early 90s, we didn't have, like, I predate Google and YouTube. So there was no real outlet. There was no real kind of book, I suppose. Cross-dressing 101, I suppose. There was nothing out there at the time that I had access to, at least. So I kind of had to figure it out on my own, but I couldn't tell anybody about it. So I kind of just grew up like an angry kind of kid, acted out quite a lot in my teenage years. And I overcompensated, I guess you could say, for, the whole thing over. Maybe people might know that I'm different if I don't do this, if I don't like act like I'm interested in sports and stuff that guys are interested in. And so I started to like shift my interests to suit everybody else, if that makes sense, just to fit in. And that made me even more unhappy, obviously, because then you're just suppressing yourself and what you really want. So yeah, I had a turning point like in my mid-20s. I was like 25, 26, and I just decided, screw it. I'm gonna do me, and come at me. Just fed up of trying to keep everybody else happy. It was time for me to try and be happy for a change.
Damn straight. You deserve to be happy, Nicole. You deserve to be happy.
Thanks.
What changed when you turned 25? What made you say, screw it, I'm going to be happy? What was it for you?
So I met my partner in 2013, and she, like, I was really open with her from the beginning of the relationship. I told her, like, look, this is part of who I am, and I don't know how you're going to react to this. And like, she was really supportive, like pretty much from day one. She was confused at first, like she didn't really get it. She was like, why do you like that? Well, what? Oh, okay. And I said, okay, well, let's try a few things. So she helped me with like clothes and makeup and everything. And I grew from that because she was supportive. I think had that been a really negative kind of experience to begin with, I don't know if I would have flourished as quickly. But because I was supportive from the onset, I was quite lucky, and I kind of, I just ran with it, and I never looked back.
Nice. That was only 8 years ago. Oh,
yeah,
time flies.
Yeah,
time flies.
Yeah. Really
is she the only one you were out to? Did you tell anyone else?
So yeah, initially she was the first one, and then I gradually started telling my sister. Like, it's kind of like a go-to thing, isn't it? Like, you have a younger sister, you go and tell your sister. And she was like always like pro LGBTQ, so I was like, I had no worries telling her. I knew she was going to be cool with it. And I have a very close circle of friends of guys that I actually went to school with, so high school with. So I still maintain a very small, close-knit group of friends, and there's like 5 of us, including me. So we've been pretty tight for like the longest time. And I told those guys, like, maybe one at a time, took them aside and said, look, I didn't want to like get them all in a group on a night out and just say, hey, kind of like to wear women's clothes every now and again, no big deal. But yeah, they were all really amazing about it. Like, it didn't change any, like, our relationship in any way. My brother, I'm the eldest of my siblings, so my brother, he's the youngest, and like he didn't take it too well. I think out of everyone, he was the only one that was kind of like, what the hell, like, he's in the army, like, so he's a macho man, and he's not homophobic or anything like that. Like, he does have like gay friends and stuff. Like, he's not that way, but when it comes to drag queens and all that kind of, he just doesn't understand. And like, it hasn't affected our relationship. We still hang out and whatever, but he just rather not partake in it or see it. And then, and my parents know as well, so I told them. Told my mom first. And then,
how did she take that?
I kind of just like bombed her with it.
Nice.
I came down to the house in full regatta.
That's always fun.
Yeah, and she was like, "It's not Halloween. What's going on?" And I just told her, and I said, "Yeah, this is me. This is, I do this from time to time." And she was like, she's from a different era, so and like, for like, I know a lot of your listeners are like, from the States and stuff. Like, in Ireland, like, there's a deeply religious kind of I suppose era that was like back in the 70s and 80s. Not so much nowadays, but like back in the 60s, 70s and 80s, like, religion was like, it ruled the country. And anything remotely different was like, the usual, you'll burn in hell for all eternity and all this rubbish. So yeah, I thought maybe because she's from that kind of time that she might have been kind of, I kind of went all or nothing on that one. But
you pretty much did, yeah.
But luckily she actually came around to the idea pretty quickly, and she was happy enough with it. And then she told my dad for me because I chickened out. Like, I couldn't tell him. So yeah, and then he's kind of like my brother in the sense that, like, it hasn't changed anything, like, relationship wise, and we're pretty close family, like. But he's kind of the opinion, yeah, that's okay, you do what you like, it's okay, but like, I just don't want to see anything. So,
surprising.
Yeah. I kind of had a burst of like, okay, I've told one person, now I just might as well just tell everybody, kind of thing, because it's out there now. So, yeah, so that's
yeah. I mean, it becomes infectious, right? Like, you want to tell everyone, because if one person knows, you're like, all right, well, let's get ahead of this. Let's tell this person before they tell this person. And that person tells that person.
Yeah. You can't really keep something like that a secret, I don't think, for too long, because it burns like a hole in somebody's pocket. It's like, I can't sit on this for any longer. So yeah. So I'm quite lucky that it all came around the way it did. Because I know, like, there's so many stories I've heard of, like, other cross-dressers that they've lost family members, don't speak to them anymore. Their views have walked out on them. It's like, some of the stories are just horrific. And obviously that was like really in the back of my mind the entire time I was telling people. I was just like, wow, how am I going to be perceived. If this goes wrong, this is going to be really awkward. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't hurt. Well, it doesn't help when you're dressed up in full Nicole gear and you show up to your mom and you're like, "Hey, mom, this is me."
Yeah. Yeah, I took a gamble there, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
When was this? When did you come out to your mom?
This is probably, I want to say 3 years ago. Yeah, probably about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were 30 and you said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna tell my mom and see what happens."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'd sat on it for a few years, and I didn't think they were ready to hear that. I was like, "Oh, their eldest son he's a cross-dresser, and what will the neighbors think?" kind of thing, you know. But yeah, no. Luckily, I put it all on red and I won. So
well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Now, your Irish families are. I mean, there's that stereotype that you have big families. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
Yeah, I have one brother and one sister. So, kind of like, yeah, it used to be like back in the 80s and 90s, like big families were like a more commonplace. But nowadays, you do occasionally get people who are really spreading the seed, if you will, and they have like huge families. Like my mom, like back in her time, like I mean, she's got like there's 7 kids in her family, like so that would have been like a large family back then. And then it's not uncommon to hear of some families that might have 8 kids, maybe up to 10 kids, for that time, But nowadays it's kind of modernized, and it's easier to have like 2.5 kids and that kind of thing. So yeah,
well, I asked that because the family dynamic is such an important value in most cultures, and by coming out to your mom and dad, I'm sure you were freaking out, but like as their support system, as your support system, I wonder where do they feel supported, right? And how's the LGBTQ I guess community perceived? Because like you said, it's deeply religious, right? And so were they going to be worried that like, oh, my son is going to be gay, or that sort of rhetoric that constantly is spewed here, at least in America? I'm wondering if the same thing is happening in Ireland.
To a point, it I guess it depends on what part of Ireland, because like there's some parts of Ireland that are like more kind of agricultural, like I'm from the west of Ireland, like I'm from a place called Galway, so that's a county in Galway. Like we have counties, so it's kind of like your states, like you've got different states, and then every kind of county is like kind of broken up into different sections in Ireland. And if you're from like a more rural area, you tend to get more kind of negativity towards that, more so than if you were in like a metropolitan area or like a a city. Or it just depends on what what the culture is in that place. Like luckily where I'm from, there's like a really mixed vibe. Like Galway City is the culture capital of Ireland unofficially, but it's got a very, very mixed bag of people from all over the world, all walks of life. And like you could go down the street and see people dressed up as anything. Like there's a lot of performance artists and things on the streets down there. Like it's a very like artsy kind of city, like. And no one bats an eyelid. It's kind of commonplace. So, and also like we recently had a gay marriage referendum here in Ireland,
wow.
And it was passed. The majority of people were in favor of it. So now gay marriage is legal here. So that's
yes.
the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's all like for the most part, I think people are accepting of it. You do hear stories like there was a story here actually very recently, like last month, where they identified like as a gender queer. I'm not too sure what that means. I'm not really into the the different names and labels for things. But like basically they were kind of dressed like as like a David Bowie-esque kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like physically assaulted like on the street, and that was really horrible to hear that kind of thing happens. But like these are obviously Neds, like these people, that they're just they have no respect for anybody else. They have no understanding of subcultures of people, why they do what they do. It's you're going to get that no matter where you go in the world. I guess it's always going to happen. Unfortunately, you're always going to come across bad batch people that just don't have respect for anyone else. But I'd say by and large, like I've gone out multiple times in different places, and I've been in Dublin, and Galway, and other like little mini trips out in the car and stuff, and like nights out and stuff. I've never had any issues. So I suppose it's timing and places as well. You choose where you are, when you're there, and what you're wearing. I mean, that all kind of dictates how you're going to be perceived as well, I guess. But yeah, no, I'd say, yeah, Ireland is pretty accepting nowadays.
That's good. That's good. I've actually been to Ireland like one time for like, I think Dublin just was like a stopover. So we were there for like a day or so, just hanging out.
Oh, cool.
Nice country. It's very cold.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, our weather isn't the most reliable.
It's like, it's rainy. No, it's cold. It's hot one day.
Yeah.
It's rainy.
Yeah.
It's like mostly rainy. It's like, okay, it's a lot of rain.
It's very temperate.
But so you do go out then. You are public about, Nicole? Like you've gone out, like you said, on trips or in public. And
yeah.
How's that been?
Yeah, for the most part, it's been pretty good. I haven't been out it, I guess. You get the odd person that will kind of like do a double take and say, is that a guy or a girl? What? Who? I don't know. And then they just go about their business because they're, most people, for the most part, I find they're too busy with their own stuff. They don't care. They're out to do whatever they're out to do, and like you're just kind of part of the scenery as they move through their business. So, I think the only one time I think I know I was clocked was when I was on the way to a club in Dublin, and it was a LGBT bar. So we had, what do we have? Yeah, there was like 4 of us there. And I was walking down the street, and there was these 2 guys, and they were just like catcalling girls, just any girl that was walking by, like they were drunk. And then like one of the guys just looked at me walking by, and was just like, "Oh, look at this girl." And the other guy wasn't like shouting it or anything. He's kind of like, I heard him kind of like whispering it almost to the guy. He's like, that's a dude. That's a guy. And I was just like, oh no. And I think that was like my second trip out. Yeah, that was probably the second time I was out. So I was still very new to it at that point.
Yeah, super early.
Yeah. And I was like, oh God, what's this? This is a precursor now for what's to come for the rest of the night. But yeah, no, it was okay.
Okay. Now we talk about, not getting clocked or whatnot. Is passing important to you, Nicole?
Yes, and I say that like with a little bit of caution, because I'm, I don't want to seem conceited or anything or vain, or I want to.
Good luck. You're fucking hot shit. If no one's gonna see it. People are gonna listen to this and see your photo. And you're like, oh no, that girl's hot. So okay, yeah, go on.
Thank you. Yeah, it is important. I think it's mainly important to me just that when I do go out, I don't want to be harassed or, get into one of those altercations like I spoke about earlier. Like it's just kind of want to avoid it. I just want to blend in. So passing privilege, I suppose, is kind of one of those things where I look at it and I say, yeah, I really have to put in like 100% effort here if I'm going out. Like if I'm just lounging about the house and just taking a few photographs or whatever, I'll still put a lot of effort into it. But like it'll take me like nearly 3 times as long to get ready if I'm going out on the town, because I'm kind of really, really pernickety about it all. But yeah, I'd say yeah.
And what do you do for you to become Nicole? What's that like? How's that process?
Yeah, it's been a process. Yeah, it's been a lot of different trials and tribulations along the way, trying to get the right kind of style and stuff. But yeah, it can be stressful. It's just funny I ask that, because literally just before my partner, she went out to do some shopping earlier on, and I was getting ready earlier, and she said, "Why you always look so stressed when you're getting ready?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I am, because I'm going out later to meet my sister." So I kind of like, it's just okay. I'm leaving the house, so like this has to be on point and that has to be on point. So sometimes it's like really stressful trying to get everything right, and then you're doing your eyes and you're just like doing your wings, and you're like, okay, you've screwed one of them up. Now you go to the other one, and then that's not, and then they don't match, and that's just like, okay, they're not twins, they're sisters. That's fine, and we just keep going. And so yeah, sometimes it's stressful, sometimes it's really pleasurable, sometimes I'm just like relaxed, I'm not in a hurry, I'm not going anywhere, I'm just doing it for me, and then that's fine. But yeah, it can take anywhere from like an hour to like 2 hours. It just depends.
Well, yeah, you look hot. It takes a while to look like hot girl shit. So yeah, I totally understand. And how long did it take you to eventually find what Nicole likes and what Nicole needs to look like and dress and style and all that stuff?
Yeah, I'd say that took at least 3 years. I've got some of my old photos somewhere way down on my Instagram feed. I've got like photos of me like from the first time I started like doing makeup. My partner is really good at doing makeup, and she taught me an awful lot. But eventually I had to get up my own feet and start doing it myself. And when I did try doing it, I looked like I looked like Marilyn Manson. I was like super heavy on the black eyeliner and the black eyeshadow, and everything was black, and all my clothes were black, and everything is just like slim this, slim that, just make yourself look as small as you possibly can, and slap on makeup like there's no tomorrow. And it did, like, God, I couldn't blend my eyes, my eyeshadow, I couldn't blend it. Oh God, when I think back now, it's just cringeworthy actually. But yeah, we all start somewhere, I suppose. But yeah, that took at least 3 years, I think, of just practice and just to dial that in. And then eventually I got to a place where I was pretty happy with clothes, and I was getting more adventurous with colors and styles and things. And I wasn't just wearing the black bodycon or the black frock that is like every time you see me, like my partner used to say, like, you always look like you're dressed to go to a funeral or something. It's just like you got to get some color in that outfit. Like, it's just too much black.
Yeah.
Billy's, for those who can't see Billy on video, she's putting her thumbs up for the CrossYaas Podcast.
Yeah.
Website. She can barely control her excitement. She can barely contain herself. And she's not even using Ziploc bags. That's right, by going to the CrossYaasPodcast.com website. Clicking on Patreon links, you can find out why that's true. And back to the podcast. Ain't that right, Billy? She's nodding her head yes.
Oh, I can't.
These are so fun. Yeah, I'm looking at your Instagram feed now, and I'm like, you look great even 4 years ago. Dear God. How did you get there? What did you do? How did you learn all this stuff?
So,
other than your wife, or sorry, girlfriend or whatnot.
Yeah, so she's my fiance.
Oh, yay, congrats.
Thank
Yay.
you. Yeah, she taught me lots. Like, she really was there to kind of like advise me. Like, she'd never have me going around looking like the Joker, She would.
But there's a photo of you looking like Harley Quinn, so yeah, maybe not the Joker.
Close enough. Yeah. And then I suppose the rest of it then was just like obsessively watching YouTube tutorials. and just finding. And I never really looked at girls' YouTube tutorials so much, because I just felt as though, well, they already have a natural face for that, so whatever they're doing is going to just accentuate what they already naturally have. So it was always like guys that were makeup artists that I'd watch, and yeah, I'd pick up like little bits here and there. You could never really get like a full YouTube channel that had everything you wanted, so you move around a bit and you take it, you borrow a little bit from this one and that one, and eventually I came to a point where I was happy to. I have a process now, so it's like I start and finish my makeup exactly in sequence. Like I never skip a step. It's always in a sequence, so I know what I'm doing next, and I know that colors are going to blend together well. It's just the process. But before that, I was just like a mess. I didn't know where to start. But yeah.
Well, tell us about your process. What's the process like? Since there'll be so many people listening to this, I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck, Nicole? How did you do it? How did you do that?
Yes, sure. Yeah. So, I suppose like matching your foundation is like the biggest, like most important thing. Like that is just, I can't stress that enough. Like I see, like even just regular girls walking on the street, and it's just like they're going around. They look like a tangerine orange, and I'm just like, and like their neck is like pale white, because like Irish people are like naturally pale anyway, because they never get the sun here. So you're just going around looking at them, and it's just like you look like you've just like sewn an orange onto your neck. It's just ridiculous. And then I that was the biggest hurdle, I think, actually, just matching the foundation. But once I had that done, I kind of done the thing where you see in a lot of makeup tutorials where they do their foundation and their contour cream and all that first, and then they go in and do their eyes. For the life of me, I can't do that. I have to do my eye makeup before I do anything else, and then I'll work around the eyes, because if you don't get the eye makeup right, it can destroy the whole look for me. So I was kind of like, okay, I better get that done first, and then I kind of skip another step, and I'd go and do my lips next, like foolishly, and I'm just like, what am I doing? I gotta get my foundation on, and then like through trial and error, you realize you gotta put like such a thing on first before the other component can get added to the mixture. And so eye makeup, foundation, contouring, and then from there you're pretty much set. It's just like finishing little touches, like you're doing your lashes, doing your under eye makeup, your lips, highlighter, and then of course, I said a lot of cross-dressers say it too. It's like you don't ever feel totally complete until you've got your hair on. And once the hair goes on, that is the last step.
I mean, yeah, I'm fascinated by your photos. Like, I'm just like entranced by like how good you look. It's very annoying.
Thank you.
But it's effort though, and you've put a lot of effort into how you look.
It's effort, and it's the right angle as well, and it's the right light, and it like I find that if if the lighting, so like I'll take a picture of myself and like my girlfriend and be like, yeah, you look fine, like you look grand, and I'm just like, no. And then like 50 selfies later, you get one that you're happy with. Okay, I'll post that one. And she's looking at me, and she's just like, there was like 49 others there that would have been just as okay, but whatever. It's just a personal thing, I think.
It's true. Yeah. Where do you shop, Nicole? Because I'm sure even people in Ireland who are cross-dressers or trans people are like, where the fuck did you get this top? Or where the hell did you get this, like, these like skirts or whatnot?
Yeah. So I guess I don't go into stores. If I do go into a store, I'll go in and with my partner, and she'll like go up to the counter because I'm too shy to do that. So I'll pick what I want, and then she'll go up and get them. And we've got this place called Pennies. It's like a Primark. So it's like it's an European brand. I'm not quite sure what it would be like in the States, but what would be another
Is it a store, like a
clothing store? Yeah,
a clothing store?
clothing store. Yeah.
And do they only sell clothes?
Yeah, yeah, and they're super cheap. They've got really good quality stuff, but they're like really really cheap. And I swear I started shopping, because I didn't want to spend a lot of money on clothes, because I didn't know, how long I was going to be into this. Is this going to be something that I'm just going to give up on after I've tried it a few times? Am I going to like it? But then eventually you get hooked, and then you start spending more money. And now I have more girls' clothes than I have guys' clothes. It's ridiculous. So now predominantly I'm shopping on Boohoo. So Boohoo.com. These are online stores. They're like Pretty Little Thing and Shein. So they're like the three kind of main go-to ones. I don't know if you have those in the States or not, but they're like online stores.
Definitely Pretty Little Thing, because I bought from there. Shein is a huge fan favorite of here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Boohoo, I don't think. How do you spell Boohoo?
Boohoo, it's just Boohoo. It's exactly like Pretty Little Thing actually, but you can just get it's like a clone almost of Pretty Little Thing, really. When you go onto the websites, the layout's the same and everything, the color scheme, but they just have like different deals on at different times for different, like, you can, if you shop between them, sometimes you can pick up a few little bargains. But mainly I'm on a Shein kick at the moment, where I just can't stop. I have the app on my phone is like open like 3 times a day, and I'm just like, no. And I have a basket full of stuff there that I'm just tempting myself with all the time.
Don't do it. It's a trap. You'll just be you're just like, but I haven't bought this in a week. I've had this in the basket for so long. And what would you say your style is, Nicole? What do you like gravitate towards, and what do you like when your fiance looks at you, you're like, you're always wearing this, Nicole? What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, she said that a few times. All right. I don't really know what kind of genre style you'd call it. I suppose like my partner, she's always saying, like, sometimes if we're in the car and stuff for a drive, and I have this waterfall jacket that I wear when I go out, and she's like, you look so mumsy. And I was like, what do you mean mumsy?
That sounds offensive, even in America.
It's like mumsy. It's like, what does that mean? It's just like, I don't know. You just, I think it was, she said, I think it's the jacket. The jacket that I was wearing was like really like something, your mom would wear to go and pick you up from school. And I was like, okay, I'm not wearing that jacket again. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of, to be honest, I kind of just go on, like my Instagram feed or TikTok feed, and I'll just look at what other girls are wearing.
Careful. Don't do that, because oh my gosh, well, you want to buy everything, right?
Yeah. But I'm super picky. So, like I'll go in and I'll see 100 things, and they all look nice and they all look good, but they all look good on her, I'm just like, yeah, that's like, I've got a guy's body. Like, I'm not a big guy, and like I'm not like really tall. Like, I'm only 5'8". Like, in heels, I'm like 6 foot. But I'm not really like stocky. I quite broad shoulders, but I can kind of offset that with, like, plumey little skirts and things like that. You kind of give yourself some hip. But yeah, and then I'll see all these other like tight fitting dresses and skirts and things, and just like that looks really, really good. But then I just stop myself and just like, yeah, that looks good on her. Like, you have no hips. So yeah, it's kind of
it's kind of a thing. It looks like, sounds like.
Yeah.
We talk about shame a lot here. Have you had any shame with your cross dressing? And that related thing is, have you ever purged?
So yes to the first question, no to the second question. I have, yeah, in the beginning especially, like, lots of shame, like, and even all through my childhood, my teenage years, I was just like, no, this is something wrong with you. This is not. It's not normal to think this way. You're a freak, or and God, you would not tell anybody. You couldn't tell anybody, like, or at least you felt you couldn't. It was only years later then, like, I actually realized that I probably could have told my mom because she was so cool about it. But yeah, purging, no. I'm kind of I might get times when I'm, I suppose, in the not in the mood, and I could go like for a while not dressing. But that means I'll just shelve stuff, and that's mainly to do with just like work. My job requires me to. It's my job is quite stressful. So when I come home in the evenings, like I'm just like during the weekdays, I'm just like I don't have the energy. So this is mainly confined to weekends. And then you could go, everybody gets those funks where they just don't dress for like long periods of time for whatever reason. It's not that they don't want to. It's just, you just don't feel like it for whatever reason. And then, yeah, no, I couldn't part with anything. unless it was too small or it was out of fashion or really like if I haven't worn something when I have a rule like if I haven't worn something like in the last year, I'll try and get rid of it just to make space for something else.
Then how often do you dress, Nicole? What is your I don't know, times that you do dress when you can?
So pretty much every other weekend. So I have a son. He's 9.
Oh, yay!
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And he lives with his mom. So his mom and I are separated. He comes to stay with me at weekends. And so whenever weekends he's here, I don't dress in front of him, and that's not because I don't think he's a cool kid. Like I don't think he'd be weirded out about it or anything like that. But I think it's more just because he's like, I don't feel there's a need for him to know, if that makes sense. Those two aspects of my life are totally separated from being a dad and being Nicole. Like they're two different, to me, they're just two different things. Like when he's older, maybe, he might accidentally find out, he might come across my profile online, he might, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but I know, would it bother me if he found out? Probably not. No, it wouldn't bother me. But just for now, he's too young to understand anyway.
No, you would don't sell your kid too short. I'm sure your lovely son has some idea about gender, so don't say that. Your son might know or might be okay with it.
Yeah, well, he's kind of. I guess he's one of those kids that just, I don't know, kind of. He suits like it's like all kids, like they want to. They live in the moment. They don't think about future consequences of things a lot of the times. And I suppose there are some people that I don't want finding out about it. And like all kids, like you give them half a chance, they won't purposely do it, but they'll hang you, without even thinking about it, because they don't really understand, because they kids live with rose tinted glasses on for the majority of their lives, because that's the way you want them to live. You want them to see the world and as a great place, and everyone's happy, and everyone is, you don't show them the shitty side of it. You don't show them that you don't show them when you're stressed out. You don't show them, when you're really worried about something. Sure, they'll pick up on when you're in a bad humor or whatever. But you try to make their environment as happy and stress free as you possibly can. But and on the other side of that too, I also believe that I don't want them sheltered from things like quite the way that like quite a lot of Irish kids brought up are or were, because the information just wasn't out there when we were growing up. So like if you heard about a crossdresser, you wouldn't know what that word even meant. And then if you saw a guy dressed up as a girl, I think the first time I seen a guy dressed up as a girl was Freddie Mercury in the "I Want to Break Free" video. Queen. That's the first time I'd ever seen that. I thought, that was really funny. It was really cool. I was like, oh, this is totally different. And like nobody ever explained the premise of what was happening there. They didn't explain like what what that was, and you just kind of go with it. Like, but yeah, then I liken that to the way I'd like approach that with my parenting. Is like the world isn't a sensory friendly place, so you can't keep them wrapped up in cotton wool forever. They're gonna experience things and that aren't always good, and you just it's kind of about preparation. I think for the most part, but yeah,
Sure.
But just for now, I think keeping them not in the dark so much, but just like not bringing them into it right now is probably probably just the best thing in my mind right now. But like down the line, it's definitely gonna it can't not it can't not come out at some point. So I'll just deal with that when it happens, I guess.
Well, you're public about your Nicole stuff, so and you're on TikTok and Instagram, so we'll have to talk about that in a little bit. But you're adding another dimension to you. I didn't know you were a parent as well.
Yeah.
Does your does your son's mom know about your cross dressing?
Not to the extent that I have now. I mentioned it like way back when, but not directly. I'm not using those pronouns or those terms. I kind of just said, hey, what's this about? This guy here is dressing like a girl. It's just like subtle hints and things like that. No, didn't really stick. So kind of just buried it again. Didn't bring it up again. It was probably just as well. Looking back now in hindsight, it was actually just as well that didn't happen because that wasn't a good that relationship did not end on in a good way.
Okay. Well, the only reason I asked was because if you look at the timeline, 9, if your son is 9 and you came out around 8 years ago, did that have an effect on your relationship prior, or was it like, because were you like closeted prior to breaking up sort of thing, and then that was like, ooh, well, now that I'm free in a sense, that you're going to just explore Nicole more?
Yeah, kind of like it's kind of like, for me it was kind of like, yeah, okay, this is kind of a a new kind of chapter in my life, if you like, and I kind of just wanted to, it's just figure myself out, if you know what I mean, just like give myself some headspace to figure out who I was and what I was doing. And I suppose for me, like, Nicole is like a separate entity from like my male self. So I see it more of as an escape than anything else. Does that make sense? It's like
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like I leave my guy problems behind me when I'm Nicole, and then Nicole doesn't have any issues. Do you know what I mean?
So how different is Nicole than your male side? Like, how different is her personality versus, your masculine side? I don't
know. Not massively different, not hugely different, but different in the sense that, like, I'm not as tense or intense. I'm not as I don't get stressed out when I'm dressed up at all, which is really strange. I don't understand how that works, but it works, so I go with it. I'm kind of more like airy fairy, if that makes sense. Like, I'm kind of like more ditzy. I don't think it changes my persona in a huge way, but it definitely does something to, I don't know, maybe it gives me more dopamine or something. I don't know. But it definitely has some kind of an effect on my state of mind, because it like I don't ever, like, when I'm in guy mode. Like I come home from work and I'm a wreck of like stress and I'm tired and it's been like a 12-hour day and I just want to sit down and relax. I don't want to do anything. I put my PlayStation on and I, watch TV or I play a video game. And then, but then when I'm Nicole, I'm totally kind of out of that state of mind where I don't think about work. I don't think about stressing about anything. I just don't think of anything really. I'm just going to draw a blank and I just enjoy the moment kind of thing. So yeah. I think that'll be the main kind of difference between like guy and girl mode.
So you can actually just click on the website, finding these links, and becoming a member for as low as $3 a month. Can you believe that, Billy?
Only $3 a month.
Only $3 a month.
What? Wait. What do you get for $3 a month?
For $3 a month, you do get the digital print. For $5 a month, you get all the bonus. Like, I don't know, what do we do? Like our conversations, our 3 ways and all stuff. And for $10, you get Kirsten singing every month. Isn't that worth it, Billy?
That's totally worth it.
That's right. That's right. So join now. Do it. Just do it. Right, Billy?
Don't do the $3 one. Do at least the $5 one because it's totally a better deal. Like you get so much more stuff. Like come on.
You do get so much more stuff.
You spend more at McDonald's. Don't lie.
It's true. So I could throw in $2 for us. We can use it.
It's true.
Billy.
It's true.
That's
$2.
Right. $2. That's right. So with that, back to the podcast, right, Billy?
Let's go. Play it.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you want me to say there?
I don't know. It's just funny. I like hearing your ad libs with it. It's way more fun. Has your fiance noticed any difference? Are you Nicole around her, or you go out at all, or is it just you just post TikTok videos all day and then call it a day?
No, we hang out together like as Nicole. Like she's totally cool with it. She's been out with me like on every time I've been out as Nicole on a night out, she's been with me. And some of my guy friends have come out with me as well.
And what's that like?
It's different. It's so different. It's so different. Yeah.
Explain.
Like all my friends are into sports, so like they're all into football and Formula 1 and stuff like that. And I'm like, I can kind of pick up on snippets of the conversation to like, I might have heard something at the news about that player or that race or whatever, but like I don't follow any of it, so I don't really know what they're talking about most of the time. So I'm not really a big sporty kind of person. I never was. So I kind of forced myself, I suppose, when I was younger to get involved with sports and things like that. I never really liked it. So it's difficult to relate to them when they're talking about that. And they do not want to sit there and talk about like, hey, look what I just bought on Shein yesterday. What do you think of this? That's just like, yeah. Did you hear Ronaldo recently got bought? I was like, no, I don't care.
But you know what else was bought?
Yeah,
at Shein.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah, and so it's a different dynamic when you're out as a guy dressed as a girl, or you're just out in guy mode with the guys having a few drinks. And I don't really have any guy friends that I can talk to about my cross dressing, if that makes sense. Like I don't like they know about it, but it's not something that we sit down and talk about. It's not something that like anyone's really all that interested in. And I can't blame them. I mean, it's not their thing. It's not their thing, So I'm not going to sit there and kind of press it in their face and say, hey, look, I want to talk about this, So yeah, it's a different kind of. And then when I'm like in the bar in girl mode, then that's totally different, because then they don't actually bring up anything to do with sports or anything guy related at all, because I suppose it's because they're in a different environment. Like usually it's like a gay bar or something, so like that environment would kind of like the first time you bring one of your friends in there, and they're just like they may have never been in one before, and it's just a totally different world. Like they're just like, oh, okay. And to be honest, a lot of them actually said that they'd like to go back because it was such a chilled out atmosphere. It was just like everyone's so happy, and and there's no fighting, or there's no testosterone bouncing around the place trying to jump on the only girl on the dance floor kind of thing. It's a better place to be for a peaceful night out.
Wait, are the non-gay bars in Ireland, like, because Ireland is known for their Guinness and their alcohol, right, consumption? Are they? Does everybody want to fight at those kind of bars? Like,
well,
what is that like?
I suppose we have the name like the Fighting Irish. Yeah. Like nowadays, I don't really know, because I don't really go to like nightclubs, and like with COVID, the last couple of years, it's just like been a total nightmare here. I mean, you couldn't go out anywhere; everything was closed, and there's still like a lot of restrictions in place for that. So, but like going to like nightclub bars, like that are gay bars and stuff, it's always been very laid back and very peaceful. I know when I was in my 20s, going out with my friends, there would be a brawl almost every weekend. Like, and if we weren't in it, we were witnessing it. It was just, you go to it. I suppose it depends where you go. There's always like a town where it has one or two bars that you just don't go into after a certain time because it's going to get messy. Everywhere has a place like that, and it's pretty much like every town in Ireland has at least one of those bars that just you just don't go into after a certain time.
Now, what is it? What is it about? Is it just how alcohol affects like Irish people, or is it like how you talked about like this this like long-term religious thing where a lot of people are just like, they don't talk about their feelings, or so when they start getting drunk, all of a sudden it just all comes out? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I think it is a mixture of a couple of things you mentioned. Definitely alcohol is a big factor. But obviously, people that don't talk about their feelings, like guys don't talk about their feelings in Ireland. No, they're just trying to think of actually sometime maybe like one of your friends came to you in confidence, and usually they're drunk, which is no surprise. It's like, I love you, man. Man, you're my, and I'm just like, yeah, okay. And I'd be just kind of nodding and agreeing, because I just know that you're just I'm gonna take the piss out of you tomorrow. I'm just gonna we're just gonna have a laugh about this. But yeah, there is kind of a thing in Ireland where guys are guys and they don't talk about their feelings or how they are. I mean, there's you get memes even like that go around on Facebook sometimes, and they'll be just like, sure, there's no depression in Ireland. Sure, that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, sure, your man, he's not depressed. He's just a bit sad. He'll be all right. That kind of way. And that's kind of like a satirical kind of way of talking about it. But like everyone knows, obviously it exists. They just aren't very good at expressing it. Like, I think guys are worse at expressing it than women. I think women are much more in tune with their feelings, and so you don't really see as many girls like. Well, you do see them fighting on a night out as well, but you don't see as many. It's usually just guys, and then once you throw enough alcohol at a bunch of guys, anything can happen. But
it's true. Yeah, like they'll clock you, right? Well, they're like, yeah. That's a man. Yeah.
Also, in Ireland, we have the term clock. Also means two things. It means like you get clocked, you'll get outed, or you'll get clocked as in you'll get like lamped across the face. You get punched.
Yeah, we got that too.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. If you're looking the way you look in your Instagram, how have you not been hit on more, right? Like, how have you not been, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, how are you not, I guess, revered as much as I think you should be, right? I don't know. Is it just me when you're dressed up and out?
I think it's probably because I'm going to gay bars and like the guys there, you know, they're not looking for a girl. In even a crossdresser like those gay bars, you know, they're guys there. They're looking for other guys. But
you'd be surprised. Don't sell yourself short. Some of those bars, some of those gay bars, I also have been hit on, and I've been dressed as Giselle, and I've gotten a lot of so-called action, if you will. So don't sell yourself short, because that's where trans people are, right? A lot of trans people show up at those bars because other people who are attracted to femininity or whatnot go to those bars. And I'm surprised you haven't been hit on more there, Nicole.
Yeah, I've been hit on once, but only ever once, and it was.
Ooh, do tell.
I was with my girlfriend at the like she was with me. My partner was with me, like, and we were out on the dance floor, and this guy just randomly came up, and he started trying to like dance with us, and then he was like trying to grab on me and stuff, and I was just like, I was having none of it. I was just like, look, I was trying to be really polite about it too, because obviously he misunderstood the situation. I was there with my partner, and I wasn't looking for this, and I just turned around and I was like, kind of just like gesturing my hands in a kind of stop motion because I didn't want to open my mouth and give myself away. And he was just like, I think he was Eastern European as well. I think he could have been Latvian, or because we've got a very large population of like Polish and Lithuanian, Latvian people that live in Ireland as well. So he was just like, hey, you want to dance with me? And I was like, oh no, how do I answer this? And I was just like gesturing, no, I'm okay. And then he just grabbed me by the arm, and like I kind of flexed my arm as he grabbed it, and like I do have quite like my biceps are not like girly biceps, and then he kind of just grabbed it. It was just like, what the fuck? And I was just like, uh-oh, here we go. And then he just turned around and he said, oh, okay, you look really good. And then he just kept dancing. So I was just like, all right, that went off kind of better than I thought.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Were you at a gay bar? Where was it?
Yeah, that was a gay bar. That was it's a bar called the George. It's in Dublin.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah.
Was it Boy George? Just kidding.
No, just the George.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's almost a compliment, right? Like, yeah. I mean, that like you got hit on, and was your girlfriend at the time like, what the fuck? What did she say?
Yeah, she was just like, okay, so that happened. I was just like, yeah, let's just move past this, because I was feeling super awkward. I was just like, oh god. And then we got outside, and it was just the two of us on this particular occasion. In fact, this could have actually been the first time I was out. I'm trying to remember. We were there. No. We were there quite a few times. And it was just the two of us, which was kind of sketchy as well, because we were in the city on our own. My partner is like quite petite, you know, she's really like tiny, and I was standing next to her. I was towering over her, and these like, you know, I'm only wearing like 4-inch heels, but like with 4-inch heels, I'm still like 6 foot tall with the heels on. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of sticking out now under this street light, because the street light is like coming right down on top of your face, and like the light outside is like so harsh on your face. And I was just like, okay, gotta get into the shadows here, so I'm not drawing attention to myself. And then this guy just came out of nowhere, and he like knocked into us, and I nearly fell over. He went flying down the street, like, and I had a few drinks on me, and I totally forgot myself, and just like an automatic reaction, I was just like, hey, watch it, pal, you know. And I was like, I caught myself, and I was like, oh no. And then I turned around, and the guy was just like, he just looked at me, and he was really drunk. He was so drunk, he could barely stand up. He'd fallen into us because he was so drunk. And he just goes, what did you just say? What? what did you just say? I just kind of said, I just looked away and I was like, oh God, just get out of here. And he was just like, what the fuck? What? He was just looked so confused about the whole situation. He was looking at me, and then and I just looking at my partner, and the two of us just there, just looking. Let's move away. And then he started shouting down the street at me. He was just like, "Hey, come back here, come back!" Like, and I was just like, let's move faster, as fast as you can move in 4-inch heels on an uneven cobblestones. So yeah, that was a kind of a close call, because that could have drawn a lot more negative attention than what I wanted. But no, kind of got out of that one alive.
Wow, you've had so many harrowing stories, and you've only been out for just a handful of times.
Yeah,
sounds like.
Yeah, it's it can be really eventful going into like the gay district of like a city, because you'll get obviously all the usual patrons that go in and out, and then you'll just get like people that are there on like a stag do, or people that are just like tourists, because it's a really touristy kind of city, and you get all walks of life coming through, and they don't always know what that part of town is, and like why there's so many like drag queens about the place. And like, you think they'd make an educated guess, but they'd rather kind of just trying to start some shit with people on the street. Like, I don't get it, but yeah, you just gotta watch yourself being out. Like, you just gotta be aware of your surroundings all the time. I suppose that's one of the things that I was like really strict about from day one. If I was ever going out as female, I was never gonna get like so drunk that like I really restrict the amount of alcohol that I was consuming, unless it was in a really large group, which is a different thing. But like if we're like only like 2 or 3 of us or something going out, like I'd be more aware of my surroundings, and that like, if shit goes down, you've got to get your heels, take your heels off and fight, or you got to take your heels off and run, one or the other.
I'm going to ask though, for an Irish woman like yourself, what is your limit for alcohol? Because I don't know, is it true that like Irish people can handle their alcohol, as they say? Is that stereotype true for you?
Yeah, well, it used to be. I suppose like the older you get, like like a 33-year-old body does not recover as quickly as a 23-year-old body. Like on a typical night out when I was in my early 20s, I could maybe drink, I think the most I've ever drank was like 12 pints and half a bottle of Captain Morgan. And that was really pushing it. Like, you'd go out like, and you wouldn't really keep tabs on what you were drinking. So like sometimes you could go out and you could drink, 15 pints, and you'd be absolutely hammered, like, but you'd be still going, like, you wouldn't stop. Like, you're too stupid to realize that you've already passed the point of alcohol poisoning here. But yeah, let's just keep going with this. Yeah. Nowadays I'm kind of more reserved. Like I'll get a bottle of wine and I'll drink that, or I'll just get like, a 6-pack and I'll drink that. Or if I'm feeling really, really party mode, I'll grab a crate and I'll just go crazy. But it's always now in my house or in my friend's house, because all the bars are
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all closed and whatnot. Are Irish people going crazy because they can't go to their pubs? Is it a thing now?
Well, you can go to the bar now. It's just that if you're not vaccinated, you can't go. You can't go inside. So you've got to be seated outdoors. And same with restaurants. If you're not vaccinated, you've got to eat outside. So you got to show your vaccine pass, and you can get in. But like nightclubs, and that element of it, that's all kind of still up in the air. They're not open yet. We don't know when they're going to be reopened. They're kind of hinting around like, October, November. But hopefully it is, because we're all getting pretty everybody is getting pretty fed up of it right now, I think.
Same here, girl. We're freaking over it in the U.S. Has the last year and a half with COVID been good to you, Nicole, as far as being Nicole, or has it been better or worse or indifferent? What's that been like for you?
Kind of a bit of both, I guess. It's been good in the sense that I've had like a lot of free time to be Nicole, but it's been bad in the sense that like I lost my job twice in the space of 2 years. I was laid off because of COVID. So like, and it's not just me, like there's so many other people that happened to as well. Like there was so many stories of people that were, committing suicide, and they couldn't pay their mortgages, and it was really bad in the beginning. And then the government thankfully did introduce a good relief package for people, so they all got like a pretty good weekly supplement income to keep them going if you were laid off because of COVID. So that was okay, and that worked out quite well because it was enough for us. Like my partner she kept her job. She's a nurse, so obviously it was imperative that she kept working. And then me, like my jobs changed like 3 times in the space of 2 years, which was
jeez.
Yeah, it was really thankfully like after the second time I did get like a full-time position. So the company I'm with now is like, it's good. Yeah, moving around a lot, and like I work in, like I'm an aircraft engineer, so I work in aviation, and obviously like aviation's been dramatically affected, like, so I'm quite lucky to be actually working at the moment in that sector because the way things have been. But all the free time was great. Nicole got plenty of time to just do nothing, I guess, just relax. But yeah, that's been tough for everybody. Everyone's been having a tough time with it.
Yeah. Who hasn't though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess in the last year and a half, you've been on TikTok and Instagram. You want give us a little information about that? Why'd you go on TikTok? Why have you been more public about it? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so I started with the Instagram, and that was more of a platform to become more comfortable with my alter ego, and just see how it was perceived. I think it was more just to test the waters to see, like, how do I look, and how convincing can I become, and how do others perceive me? Because this was like before I started going out in public, and I didn't know, if I had what it took to go out the door, because like everyone remembers their first time going out. Like you don't remember like your 5th time going out, like on a night out, but you definitely remember your first night out, and it's terrifying, and you're walking around like a baby calf on high heels because you don't know how to walk in high heels properly. And so yeah, that was kind of just to document myself, just to see how it'll be perceived. And also I wanted to try and like get in touch with other cross-dressers, because and to this day, believe it or not, I've never met anybody like me. In fact, you are the first person I've spoken to in person, I suppose. That's like me. I message like some other cross-dressers on Instagram, but like we wouldn't have like a verbal phone conversation or meet up in public or anything like that. It's just kind of like just messages.
I'm honored, Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess it's mainly because of where I'm from. That's probably like a very big part of it. Like cross-dressing is very hidden in this country, out of fear more so, I think. So I wanted to connect with other people on the platform, and then I saw how like TikTok took off really quickly. Like it just came overnight, and then all of a sudden it was the next big thing. And I said, okay, well, a lot of my followers are messaging me on that, asking for my TikTok handle or my Snapchat handle and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, well, I don't actually have a TikTok, so I better, maybe get on this. So then I got on that recently enough, and it wasn't actually. Well, it was probably 6 months, maybe 6 months ago or so that I got on there, and it's been great. I got a lot of love on there. Very little negativity, which is always good to see.
Yes.
Quite a lot of. I suppose the only thing I wasn't prepared for social media was the dick pics.
Oh yes, here we go. This is why people listen to the podcast. Talk to us, Nicole. Talk to us.
I never understood them.
And with that cliffhanger, stay tuned till next week to hear part 2 and the conclusion of my CrossYaas conversation with Nicole B. And finally, the miscellany. Yes! And that was part 1 of my CrossYaas conversation with Nicole B. And what a story on Nicole so far, right? She was a delightful guest, and I'm so glad she was able to come on the podcast to share some of her own personal story with you, the CrossYaas listener. I was stunned to hear that I was the first crossdresser that she's ever talked to about her crossdressing, and shoot, what a story she had to tell. I also loved how she was just trying to be herself. She's not into being anyone different, and she's not going to subscribe to anyone's notions of how to live life. And like she said, I'm going to do me. Her pictures are incredible, and she's trying to make a name for herself via social media. So again, check her out on Instagram and support her, X1X, Nicole X1X on Instagram and TikTok if you haven't seen her already. And there you'll see and understand why she has over 27,000 followers. Stay tuned next week for part 2 of my CrossYaas conversation with Nicole B as we get even more personal. And like you heard in the cliffhanger, there'll be a lot more to her story where she ends up talking about her thousands of followers and even gets into the dreaded dick pic talk. But that's all for this episode. Remember, when it comes to your cross-dressing, sexuality, and or gender, no one cares as much as you do. So do whatever you want and wear whatever you want within reason. Because as long as you're not hurting anyone with your cross-dressing, sexuality, and or gender presentation, why does it matter? So just live your life to the fullest because life's way too short not to. Be kind to yourself and one another and just keep on living. I hope you, the CrossYaas listener, realize that you are loved by me and this podcast, so please let me know what you need so I can help you succeed. And another friendly reminder, if you enjoyed what you heard in this week's episode or any of the other previous episodes, remember to share this episode and the CrossYaas podcast with someone else. Because if you found any of what you just heard helpful, imagine what it could do for someone else. But that's all for this week's episode, and until next time, as always, keep it fresh, stay blessed, and remember, you're gorgeous.